if I had to pick curiosity or passion, I would pick curiosity 9 times out of 10, because to me, passion is so big and it's so expansive, and it doesn't give me what my next step is. But my next step, if I'm curious, is always going to be clear.
Hey guys, my name is Alan Smith. I am with Design Revival. Design Revival is a conference in Columbus, Georgia that is for churches and inspire and equip them to use compelling design to communicate the gospel. And today on Design Revival Chat, I have Alicja Colon. Alicja is a designer turned photographer turned illustrator. She started her design career in a large church in Savannah. And she believes that her skills as a designer are the gateway for her audience to learn more about Jesus. She understands this idea of design and the gospel. Alicja, thanks for being with us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
I am a huge fan of your work. As a matter of fact, I posted a blog post through Design Revival blog today, and I said there are 4 designers that I think you should follow today if you're not. And one of them I included you. Your work is absolutely amazing. What you do with paper, it's breathtaking. To me, the Artifact Conference,
it's fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Alicja, tell us a little bit about Thrice Studio. That is a studio that you have in Savannah. And tell us a little bit about what you do, kind of how that got started, the background of who Alicja is.
Okay, awesome. So Thrice Studio is a still life-centric photography studio. And while I say still life, that's definitely something that we're branching into, but what I'm really known for would be my paper illustrations. And so what I do is I work with magazines, I work with tech companies or product lines that want something that's a little bit more interesting, that's not 3D, because sometimes 3D doesn't feel tangible, but they still want something that is kind of like otherworldly or fun or whatever. And so I make it with objects. 9 times out of 10, it's paper. And then I photograph it, using atmospheric elements that I can add, like light, obviously is an easy one, but smoke or water or anything to really kind of make it real. And then from there, retouch the mess out of it. Mm-hmm. And then we release it out into the world. And so Thrice is now 2 strong. So it's me, and I have a marketing and production assistant as well. We're really excited about this next season that we're into, because it's definitely growing, and we see people responding to our work. So it's an exciting time.
That's it. How do you make the transition from photography to paper illustration? How does that happen in your, journey as a designer?
It was one of those things where I let my curiosity lead the way. Okay. I'm very much if I had to pick curiosity or passion, I would pick curiosity 9 times out of 10, because to me, passion is so big and it's so expansive, and it doesn't give me what my next step is. But my next step, if I'm curious, is always going to be clear, because it's going to be like, oh man, if I combine paper with this, or if I bend paper this way, or if I use textured paper, or if I'm led by questions, and so I know what my next step is. Always.
Interesting. I'm making notes, by the way, and passion over curiosity over passion. That is a nugget of inspiration, I think, because we oftentimes hear people talk a lot about, well, follow your passion. What are you passionate about? But the idea of letting curiosity sort of drive that seems to kind of keep the excitement and the uncertainty and the expectation and the sort of the joy of what design has done for us. It seems like it would be the kind of thing that kind of helps us recapture regularly the joy of design.
Oh, 100%. I would have to say, ever since now, in order to allow curiosity to reign, I had to overcome debilitating negative self-talk. Right? Because in order to be curious, you also have to allow yourself to fail. And if you thought that failure meant that, perhaps I'm not supposed to be doing this, it's some sign of oh, I'm not ready, or this isn't what I'm meant to do, then at that point it would truncate any progress, right? So as soon as and that's a big God thing in and of itself. We could probably spend a whole hour talking about that. But when I started being healed of that and retraining my thoughts and got to a point where it was positive self-talk. And then after that point, I was able to just be led by my curiosity. And I would always, me and my employee, we have this motto that we say here all the time called fail forward.
Yeah.
It's like we just have to fail forward, and that's what curiosity is. It's failing forward. One
of the things that we're trying to do with Design Revival Chats are really kind of talk about the idea of what makes good design. How do we, at what point in design do we transition from bad, good? Oh, now we're in good design. Like there are gradients of designs. We know some things that are just really bad, like that's really bad design. And there's this sort of area where it kind of tips to good design. Mm-hmm. So in your assessment, in your opinion, what makes for good design? Like when do you kind of reach that tipping point to where design has transitioned from really bad to we've entered into the good stage?
To me, that there has to be a structure in place in order to put prettiness on it. So I'm not going to sit here and I'm going to say, oh, it's all about the aesthetics, because that's not it. Every brand has a different kind of visual aesthetic that they need to adhere to or they want to adhere to. And sometimes we'll hear designers bash Papyrus or Comic Sans or whatnot, and they're like, oh, that's bad design. But at the same time, it's like, well, no, maybe that just goes really well with their brand. So for me, what I really deem as what's good design and what's bad design is the underlying clarity of the message. If there's a clarity of the message, if the end user, the person who we are trying to communicate with, understands, as close as 100% as possible, what we're trying to communicate with the amount of gusto or like whatever that emotive feeling is that we're trying to communicate it with, if they understand that, then at that point
it works.
That works. Now, I mean, it could look metal, you know what I mean? Like it could be a Harley Davidson kind of thing. It could be a Nike thing, but what those things have in common, even though it's two completely different visual sets, right? Is that they have a clarity of message. They have a structure of message. And if there is not that clarity, then at that point you can put the prettiest assets on it and it's
still not going to work.
Not going to work.
Yeah. You said in your sort of description of how you would classify good design, you used the language that said that it's structure in which you put on the pretty. Mm-hmm. Can you unpack the structure part a little bit? Like what are some things that the people that are listening and watching us really need to be mindful of when you talk about design structure? Can you unpack that a bit?
Yeah, sure. So structure, again, to me, I always like caveat it, to me, is first you have to know what you're saying in the most brief and succinct way. What's the information that they need to know? And then what is the feeling that we want them to have when they see this? So what is it we're communicating? What feeling do we want them to have? And then from there, once we have that, then it's like, all right, now we know the information that they want to have. There normally is going to be a lot of information. It's going to be, what is it? It's going to be the place, the time. It could be like where to buy tickets or, all of those different things, right? I've designed for VBSs to, you know what I mean? Like women's ministry to a Harley Davidson, men's ministry ride. Like it's all very different.
That's right.
But you have to understand what's the hierarchy there. So is it the fact that this is a women's ministry? Is that the hierarchy? Or is it the event? Is that the hierarchy? So we have to understand, what is the first thing when they look at it that they need to see? Mm-hmm. What's the second thing? And then what's the third thing? And that can be done in various ways, right? Position, type, font, treatment. one of my favorite posts that I've seen that you guys have done is I think it's a hierarchy, like on Instagram. You'll
Yes.
you will first read this, and then you'll read this, and then you'll read this. And that just shows that it's not even placement. I mean, sometimes it is, but it really is this juxtaposition of weight and size and scale that can help like figure out hierarchy. So what are you going to say? What is the hierarchy they're in? And what feeling do you want? The feeling is where the pretty comes in, right?
Right. That's the aesthetic side of it.
Learn how excellent design can direct people to the Savior. Come to Design Revival and raise the standard for your ministry. Visit designrevival.ga for more information and to register for the Design Revival Conference. September 6th and 7th, designrevival.ga.
One of the things that we have you and I had talked about before, I guess, before we got started in our communications back and forth via email, you had mentioned looking at visual messaging.
I know it's like, when you're trying to over articulate something, you actually make your clients or your users feel dumb because you're going like, see, look at this, like this is the thing. And then at that point it's like, do I really want that? If that's how smart, because we were trying to pitch, like, what if the light automatically turned on, like you scroll down and the paper light turns on, or like the paper shirt automatically folds, like things like that still communicate a smartness because they're animated, they're sentient almost. Whereas just having a lamp with a smiley face on it doesn't get what you want.
At a base fundamental level, that is the way of thinking that we have to get to help us move from bad design to good design. Now, whether a person lands in the same sort of aesthetic that you have is not the important thing. The thing is that people are actually thinking about the design.
Yes.
Does this communicate? Is it clear? Is it whereas a lot of times I think especially with church graphics, there's a tendency to just be like, well, I found this graphic on so-and-so website, so let's just use it. And it's like, well, but does it work for your church? Like, does it work for the men's ministry or the women's ministry of your church? Like, is your church kind of very outdoorsy people and you just pulled this thing together? It's very corporate. I mean, that's not going to. And so I think what you're describing seems to me to be very much about being thoughtful about what you're creating.
Very much understanding the message and then the audience and the intersection of those two things.
Yeah. There's an intelligence that has to go into design. Otherwise, you're missing both of those key components, the messaging and the feeling that you miss them.
Yep.
And then you can assume the audience has a bit of intelligence as well.
Yeah.
That's an important thing. Alicia, thank you for being with us on Design Revival Chat today. I greatly appreciate your time.
Oh, man. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast.
I'm excited for you to be with us at Design Revival. That is coming up in a couple weeks, September 6th and 7th. Alicia will be one of our main session speakers, and I have seen her outline, and let me just say, you will be excited to see it. It's going to be great. Alicia, I thank you for being with us. I look forward to seeing you at Design Revival in Columbus here in a few weeks. And so thanks for being with us on Design Revival Chat today. I hope that you were inspired. I hope that you are equipped to use compelling design to communicate the gospel. Thanks for being with us today, and we will see you next time.